if you're spending $100 a day for a week and you got a 6 ROAS, great. I can guarantee you it died after that week. Guarantee.
Yeah, well, because, once you stop promoting that email campaign to your existing buyers that you're smashing on retargeting during Black Friday, that massive return all of a sudden goes away. It's funny. You reminded me, like, I used to work with this alcohol delivery brand in Los Angeles who, for legal terms, I will not actually name out loud. Everybody's like, well, name your clients. It's like, I don't need to. We don't need to have this conversation. Whatever. So they had a Facebook rep who was moonlighting, and they were doing about 300 to 500 a day at 6X. Ironically enough, doing about 1,500 to 1,800 in sales a day. Yeah. In Los Angeles. They were stoked. But they were unhappy with it because of the guy and his conflict of interest with Facebook and the mother. So anyway, they brought me on. Within like 6 or 9 months, I think it was within 6 months, we had him doing a 2.5X. But really what it meant was we were making a $22 profit per sale. Yeah. Because we got some margin instead, right? $22 profit per sale with a projected 2.5 multiplier on LTV. Again, that's CPA plus COGS divided by LTV at $3,000 a day. And you know what the net effect of it was? The guy had to go out for his next round of investment 6 months early. He ran out of his runway. Instead of doing it in June, he did it in November and December. And like, that's so much better. Like, a 6X return on great. You made it $1,200. Awesome. I'm going to do $100,000 a month doing it my way. And it's just like a smaller piece of a much bigger pie tends to be way more valuable. But I think it ultimately comes down to some folks are taught to make Facebook look good. Other folks are taught to build a business.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. At the moment, like but even before I sign people or like onboard them or whatever, I'm like, I'm not here for a vanity report. I've actually had this with a client like recently, and I mean, I know this is for Facebook, for example, but this was on Google Ads where they were spending like $1,500 a day on the keyword that was their own business, right? That looks great in a vanity report, because you're not going into the details of the keywords and stuff like that, but we're saying, we're getting you a 7 times return on your money. But they were going to your website anyway. So it's fucking pointless. So I went in and it was probably a bit like risky for me to do with a, brand new client and stuff, but I basically stopped all that, changed all the keywords to people who are actively looking for the products and services that we have, and driving them to the business. Like, my reports look 1 billion times worse than the last people, but like the actual growth of the business is going up,
because you're driving lift. Funny how that works when you focus on growing a brand versus protecting your ego. Things happen.
And I think like my thing at the moment is, and like, I'm very, very like lucky to be in like this position where I can have this kind of, like, I guess it's like I don't want to say arrogance, but where I'm like, if you don't understand that, then that's fine. Then this doesn't work, So if you want someone who's just gonna, sit in the background and do ROAS reports and not scale and provide you with no growth, go for it. There's 1 billion people that do what we do, and you're welcome to them. And I know it's rude, but like, that's just what it is. Like,
no, I love it. I love it. And I tell my students in the MBA program all the time, like, when they're talking about getting good clients and stuff, I say, like, have a conversation with somebody. One of the key things about landing a client isn't getting your first paycheck. The thing you want to look at with landing a client is this going to be a relationship you want to invest in? And some of the best relationships is when you can have a business conversation with an entrepreneur that understands, because they need to know 3 things. First off, they need to know that they're going to live and die without you. Like, you are not necessary to their bottom line. Number 2, your function is to throw fuel on the fire. They give you money, you blow up their business. And that's a big thing. And then the third piece is they need to understand that It's not day to day. It's week to week, month to month trajectory growth in a business. And ultimately, understand what that goal is. Is it bottom line growth? Is it top line growth? Is it market share? Is it customer acquisition at any cost? Because the right answer to every problem is fundamentally different based on those questions. And so many people I know are just trying to work so hard. And the people I see on Twitter and on Instagram and on YouTube talking about ABO versus CBO, my man Barry talking about this, like, that doesn't matter. I mean,
stop
first off,
madness. Like it's 2022. Like, please stop this like conversation. Like, I literally can't handle it. I don't understand why, like, everyone's just not Power 5 or Power 5 all day. Like, you know, broad, like, just it drives me. Like, I mean, I say it drives me nuts. Say it's good for my business. Like,
it's really good for the people that embrace it. And with that, like, people argue so in depth about shit that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I use this analogy sometimes. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Gangs of New York. You ever see that movie?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So there's a shot where they're having at it, right? They're knifing each other in the street. It's like a big war. And then the Navy just levels the entire neighborhood.
Yeah.
We're the fucking Navy.
Yeah.
You can battle with your ABO, CBO, whatever, like manual bit, all that stuff. I don't give a shit. I got cannons.
Yeah.
Fight is over. Like, you know, like, we're done here. I don't care that you figured out a way of working 3 times harder to make an extra 5 cents. I'm going to be working half as hard and double the business.
Yeah. And like, where are you at in your life? Like, how arrogant can you be when you're like, when Facebook's like, hey, we think you should do this. And you go, nah, I'll just do it my own way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at the point where, like,
who are you? Like, literally, who are you if you're doing that, right?
I mean, I'm trying to be nicer.
Yeah.
But the honest truth is, and I don't think a lot of people appreciate it. And fair enough, like, they might not know, but I did the launch, for instance, of lead gen.
Yeah.
I did the launch of dynamic product ads.
Yeah.
I did the case study with Facebook for the development of creative testing in CBO and the proof of advanced matching.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes to me and is like, well, if Facebook says we should probably do this for creative testing with CBO, I'm like, yeah. Or when somebody says, you know what, I think interest groups the way to go versus like lookalikes abroad, I'm like, so many people today are quoting the work based off of millions of dollars Facebook gave me back in 2017.
Yeah.
And it used to bother the hell out of me. And now I'm just like, you know what? If these folks that just recite that information have finally leveled up to 40 years ago, that means other folks that don't know anything are at least getting better advice. Yeah. That's a good thing. You know, like, I used to feel so just angry, but I'm trying to get better at that. And to be fair, like, somebody who, like, I have a history with, like, there's been a fair amount of people that have gone from blocking me to, like, following me and ask to speak on their stages because they've they've rounded back to cool again. And I've also been less of an asshole to people because I used to be I used to be too arrogant. I 100% own that shit.